Hello everyone! Ever since Konami dropped its latest transmission and trailer of Silent Hill F, the gaming community has been buzzing. Part of it out of pure hype over the new storyline we now have, and part of it out of sheer interest for having Australia slap a ban on it, which shouldn't come as a surprise because Silent Hill F is not only a horror game, it is a Japanese horror game. Consequently, this controversy offers the perfect opportunity to dissect horror as a genre in video games, the necessity of content warnings, and predict how Silent Hill F is perhaps bound to set the precedent in horror. Although other games have done it time and time again, but I guess that's more difficult to recall when said games just didn't have the clout to stay 100% relevant to the masses. First things first, let's address the more pressing question. Why did Australia ban Silent Hill F? The game has now been officially rated, clearing up initial concerns that it was banned. The Australian Classification Board has completed its review and assigned an official classification ahead of the game's release. Previously, the board had listed the game as refused classification, but that entry has been since removed. While this confirms the game will not be outright banned, the initial confusion highlights Australia's strict approach to game classification. After all, games have been banned there for less. According to Silent Hill F's Steam page, the game contains depictions of gender discrimination, child abuse, bullying, drug-induced hallucinations, torture, and graphic violence. As you probably already know by now, these types of themes are flagged or heavily scrutinized, with Australia having severe rules when it comes to media implying or portraying harm done to minors. Other games Australia has banned or heavily censored are Agony, the Manhunt games, Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number, and some of the GTA games, Outlast 2, and more. While Australia is known for its strict regulations, countries such as China or even Germany may also ban the game for its violent and gruesome themes, but most Western countries will likely give it a mature rating and call it a day. The real question I've seen thrown around in online threads and videos is this whole controversy about this particular game, or is this yet another excuse to drag the horror genre through the mud? We've seen this done before. Horror games push the envelope, people lose their minds, and all of a sudden these types of games are the root of all evil. Some fans claim this whole mess might be the perfect excuse to tear into horror gaming, with officials hiding behind content warnings and forgetting that in the end, fear is the whole point of the game. Silent Hill F might set a new bar for the genre, but let's be real, the more you forbid or ban something, the more people will want to play it. Of course, the title of my video is a bit dramatic, but given today's social and political landscape, I wouldn't be surprised to see changes in many other areas of our freedom, gaming included. Still, in my opinion, content warnings play an important role. They aren't solely for softening the horror, they're about giving the player an informed choice. Personally, I've played some pretty scary games, and while some of my friends find them acceptable, others see them as extremely triggering and disturbing. Horror is meant to be unsettling, but not every player is walking in with the same tolerance level. Some might love the psychological torment, while others have real-life trauma that could make certain themes genuinely harmful. So it's nice to know what you're going into. Which brings us to another important question. What does horror mean to the Silent Hill F creators? So far, we know that the horror legend Ryukishi07 thoroughly worked on developing the story, and Konami's producer Motoi Okamoto himself stated that the concept for this game is find the beauty in terror, a concept which feels deeply rooted in Japanese horror aesthetic and cultural philosophy. I'm sure that all anime and Japanese movie fans are aware of the fact that Japanese horror thrives on subtlety. It likes to take something delicate and turn it into something deeply unsettling. Unlike its Western counterpart, it has always been more about psychological dread, slow building unease, and the eerie contrast between the beautiful and the grotesque. And from its trailer, Silent Hill F seems to achieve this balance perfectly. Even the fact that the game is set in 1960s Japan is perturbing. That specific period of time wasn't all cherry blossoms and tsundere charm. On the contrary, it had some serious societal issues. Post-war Japan was still reeling from its past, with a mix of rapid modernization and lingering traditional values, creating a breeding ground for isolation, shame, and suppressed fears. women were still expected to follow rigid roles, and those who didn't often faced severe backlash. And as far as bullying, it was fairly present and deeply ingrained in the social structure, especially in schools. Conformity was everything, and anyone who didn't fit in was ruthlessly targeted. If Silent Hill is truly diving into this, it could tap into a horror that feels completely real. Not just monsters lurking in the shadows, but being completely alone, shunned, and left to suffer. There's a huge difference between thoughtful psychological horror and just having disturbing imagery thrown at the screen just for the sake of it. So I'm very hopeful when it comes to this game and what it sets out to achieve. The whole beauty and terror concept is front and center, especially in the game trailer's final moments, where Hinako is flanked by two Inari shrine maidens, seemingly prepping her for some kind of ritual. Interestingly enough, Inari shrines are often associated with foxes. If you've played Ghost of Tsushima, then you are more than familiar with that fact. And they are usually places that symbolize safety and spiritual blessing. But this particular scene in the end contradicts that idea, almost as if warning us not to be deceived, because underneath that sense of protection lies a very twisted truth. So, what does Silent Hill F mean for the future of horror games? On one hand, I'm excited to see psychological horror making a comeback after years of action-heavy horror dominating the market. Silent Hill F has the potential to bring back that slow burn but horrific tension that made the series legendary in the first place. However, I can't help but wonder, will it truly be a masterclass in psychological horror, or will it just lean into modern trends, overwhelming us with sinister scenes for shock value purposes? Should Silent Hill F be successful with this concept, we could see a shift in how horror games are made and perceived. Thanks to horror movies such as Hereditary, Late Night with the Devil, The Witch, and so many others, the horror gaming world is also changing and expectations are higher. Game developers themselves are challenging limits and ideas to offer us a more enhanced experience, and I couldn't be happier about it. Psychological horror could also open the door for more culturally diverse stories, moving beyond generic slashers or shooters to explore unique myths, folklore, and historical horror settings. Narrative-driven horror could take center stage, proving much like Amnesia or Soma did, that a well-crafted story can be far more terrifying than an endless creature feature. And visually, we might see a departure from the usual blood-soaked, rust-covered horror tropes in favor of unsettling, almost beautifully disturbing aesthetics that make horror feel more effective, creeping under the skin in unexpected ways. What do you think about all this? Are you worried that Silent Hill F might be extra terrifying, or do you think this is just an exaggeration, a marketing ploy, or perhaps yet another attack on the horror genre? I would love to know your opinion, so please make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. Thank you for today. My name is Deni. I have a channel about movies and games, so if you'd like to support me, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out. Thank you again, and until next time, take care everyone. Bye!